Hannah Kesler.
This gal started her own bank at the age of 18, and then you became a self-made millionaire by the age of 24?
I did.
Hannah Kesler is a money mentor.
She's known as the single millionaire chick.
With advice on how to stop living paycheck to paycheck. Money
Starts with your mindset.
How you think about your money is going to greatly impact how much money that you have.
I grew up in a town called Olathe, Kansas. I'd be walking out of the door, going to school, and my mama would holler at me, "Hannah, make good choices." And I'd have to holler back, "Because the choices I make today will affect my future."
My parents, they did a very good job about teaching me as a child how to handle my money.
We have a lack of understanding when it comes to money.
If you want your kids to have money, you need to start talking to them about it while they're young.
I'm really second generation to this concept that's called the infinite banking concept.
And at 18 years old, my dad gave me the choice to start my own bank that then led me to becoming a millionaire by the time I was 24.
Now you've written a book to help tie it all together.
So the companion is really just teaching kids that, not specifically money, but really important life lessons.
Now being the owner of the Money Multiplier, I help serve over 17,000 clients in every state of the country.
Where can people get the book?
HannahKesler.com. Hannah spelled the same way forwards and backwards, Kesler with one S.
Also, I got my podcast show, the Money Multiplier Podcast.
And make good choices today, because the choices you make today will affect your future. Well, good morning, my friends. Hello. I'm sorry I missed y'all last week. I was on Pacific Coast time, and yo girl, she knows herself. My brain does not function at 6 a.m. in the morning. Love y'all though. Sorry I missed ya. But it's good to be back. Who do we have on this morning? I see Fern. Hi, my lovely. I know you and the girls are catching up. I think it's actually this week or next week. So I'm sorry I can't be there, but y'all have a great time. I'm missing y'all. And Dexter, I see you on this morning. Dexter and I had the pleasure to meet up on Father's Day, and we had a breakfast, a brunch, if you will, before Rachel and I actually went on our hike. So Dexter, I love you. Good to see you on. Annette, I see you, and then also Dave. So good morning, my friends. I have been thinking a lot recently because your girl has been on some airplanes. And what do you do when you're on an airplane? You read a book, you kind of catch up on some work, or you snooze, okay? And luckily, I'm the type of person where I can actually fall asleep on airplanes, which is lovely. I took the red eye home from LA to Daytona Beach, Florida. And it's like, girl, you know yourself. You've done so many red eyes. Why do you keep doing this to yourself? But I've been reflecting a lot, because there comes a point where you're like, oh my goodness, I'm working hard. And there's actually a sticky note that's posted on my desk in the other room. And I want to say it was a pastor who said it. And he was like, when was the last time that you really paused to think about this life experience? I think a lot of us, we can get caught up with our families, especially if you have children, you have a husband, a wife, you're taking care of the family. But I really want to ask y'all, when is the last time that you really paused to think about this life and this human experience that we are living here? Because I know a lot of people are just getting up every single day, right? Your alarm goes off, you get up out of bed, maybe you have a morning routine that you do, you hit the gym or you take a shower, you go out, play some pickleball. That's what I do over here. I don't know, right? You go play some pickleball and then you get ready for your day. And then you clock in. Maybe you have to drive to the office or you're working from home. You have your scheduled meetings. You're looking at your calendar. You do this day in and day out. And then Clock out, you come home, you cook dinner now. Now the kids want your attention. Your spouse wants your attention. You're cooking dinner. You're providing for the family. You're spending family time with them. And then you put the kids down to bed. And now you are just scrolling through Netflix trying to find your next great show that you want to watch. And then you fall asleep and then you wake up, you do it all over again. And, some people are content with that. But how intentional, like I remember when I started this year of 2026, my word for this year was intentional, being intentional with my time, with what I'm putting into my body, the foods that I eat, how I'm moving my body, the people that I'm spending my time with, being very intentional with how I'm spending my time and what I'm doing, and even with what I'm filling my mind. Because I could wake up every day and think, oh my goodness, I'm so stressed out. I got all these back-to-back meetings. And it happens. Like some days I'm looking at my calendar, I'm like, holy shit, I have meetings from 8 a.m. all the way to 8 p.m. I'm anxious, and how am I going to get through my day? But I've started to really wake up and think, I get to do this today. I am allowed to have conversations with my clients. I'm helping people. I always have to think and put myself and really move my mindset into people would kill to be in this position that I'm in. So I am choosing to have a good day. I'm choosing to set time aside for myself. So that's why I was a little tardy this morning. Sorry, I was choosing to move my body a little bit this morning. Slept in just a little bit. I'm catching up from the time zone changes. But I'm choosing to have this good day. I was actually, when I was on the West Coast, we flew up to Vancouver. And then we hopped into a helicopter, which helicopters are cool, but they're a little scurry. All right. Helicopters are kind of scurry, in my opinion, compared to like airplanes. Cause it's like, if something happens, you kind of just drop, right? I don't know if that's correct or not, but in my mind, that's how it works, where if something goes wrong in a helicopter, you don't glide like an airplane. And so they make me a little nervous. But it is cool, having that experience of going into a helicopter. And we flew north about 45 minutes to an island called Sonora Island. Beautiful place. Okay, y'all should really look up the in British Columbia, all the islands right around the coast of Vancouver. We saw whales, and there were sea lions, and not sea lions, seals. Right? Okay, there's a difference, seals and sea lions. We had to go through that conversation when we were up north as well. And then I always make the joke. I'm like, sorry, mom and dad, I went to public school. I don't know this. I'm kidding. But even seeing like the bald eagles going through and catching the fish and the salmon, we even went salmon fishing. Amazing experience. But when we were up there, I had the opportunity to sit into a keynote session, and a speaker came out, and she's a neuroscientist at a college. Okay, so she's doing a lot of research at a college, and her whole talk was on productivity, right? And how can you be a more productive person rather than just working really, really hard? How can I work even smarter? And even going into where your energy levels are at throughout your day. There's, and I'm not going to get into all the technical terms because I can't recite them back, but I can give y'all some resources if you want to look deeper into this. But she really exposed me to just even all of the distractions that we have just in our society today, with the little dings, like even your mobile phone on your person all the time, and hearing all the dings or the vibrations going off, and how your mind will just pivot when maybe you're deep in thought over here. It'll pivot because you hear this little ding or the vibration in your pocket. to the point where I actually turned off all my notifications besides my text messages and my phone calls. Cause it's like, yeah, you're right. Why do I need to have all these dings and get the Facebook notifications, the Instagram notifications? I'll go and visit those apps when I want to go and visit them. So just being more productive with my time, being intentional with my time. So that's really what I've been focused on, and just setting goals. Okay. Because again, are you just living, or are you just coasting by and existing? Are you actually living and building the life that you want to build? I think a lot of the times it's scared mindset of what keeps you maybe in your current occupation, or maybe even in that current relationship. Let's just say it, there's some people that that are in a relationship that you're like, I don't know how they do it. I don't know why they're still continuing to be in this relationship. But I'm choosing to be more intentional with how I spend my time. And it even trickles into your business life. Even my business owners who are here listening this morning, it's not so much of a work-life balance. You got to integrate the two aspects of your life. It is the integration of how am I working and how am I building my business, and how can I be more intentional and not so lopsided weights. You know what I mean? Like on a scale of weights, like one's up here, one's down here. How can I really blend the two together and make the intentional time to, all right, girl, in the afternoon times you get a little tired. Let's maybe put a pause on some things. Let's get outside. Let's go move our body, and then we'll come back to it. Have you ever noticed too, like if you have an issue at hand and you've been trying to solve this issue or this problem, and you've been rattling your mind and you're like, oh my gosh, I just don't know the solution here. And then you walk away for like an hour or two, and then you come back and you're like, boom, that's the solution. Sometimes you just got to give yourself those mental breaks just to continue to go on this journey, right? So matter of fact, actually, last Christmas, my mom, I have it right here. My mom gifted me something because she goes, Hannah, sometimes I don't know how you do it. You're running so hard. And sometimes you just got to tell people,
No.
So she got me this no button, and she's like, you need to sometimes tell people no more of the time. And I see Dexter. Oh, I thought Dexter was talking about something else, but it is. I see your word survival. I don't want to be in a constant survival, anxious mode all the time. And sometimes, even when like people are hitting me up and they're like, Hannah, you want to hang out? Honestly, no, I really don't want to hang out. I have other priorities and other things that I'm doing over here. And sometimes it's okay to tell people,
This is my last word. No.
Anyways, I've just been really thinking about that here as I've been on the road and traveling, having a little bit more of my mental time for myself. So anyways, that's what's been on my noggin. Tell me in the comments what's y'all been thinking about here this past few weeks. But we're here at the end of June. Y'all, can you believe next week, July, and July 4th. I'm super excited. We are going to go out to Lake of the Ozarks. That's where we spend our July 4th every single year. Lake of the Ozarks has a special place in our hearts. Grew up in Kansas City, right? And mom and dad met in St. Louis, and I call them Nanny and Papa. Nanny and Papa, my grandparents' mom's parents, they had a place at Lake of the Ozarks. And so mom and dad, when they were in their dating phase, they would go there every weekend, because when they met in St. Louis, and then dad went to chiropractic college in Logan out in St. Louis. And then they moved to Kansas City, and that's where they wanted to settle down and start opening up the chiropractic offices. So they would go every weekend to the lake and hang out with Nanny and Papa and just go have some fun lake time, right? Because Kansas City's only about, maybe 2.5 hours away from Lake of the Ozarks. I think I'm remembering that correctly. It's been a little bit. Speaking of Kansas City, I want to go home at some point. It's been a while since I've been back home, but I'll always live in Florida. Love my Floridian residency. So we'll be headed out there next week for the July 4th holiday. I'll be up in Boston after that for some fun travels, and then heading to Mexico City. The Bankers Club of Mexico, they invited me back out, and I'm going to go speak out there again. So that's going to be fun, exciting times. That's on my next little agenda. So I asked y'all, enjoy your holiday and make good choices, because what does Mama TK say? The choices you make today will affect your future. But before I kind of get into my little topic, those are my announcements. No really big speaking events coming up besides September time. I will be out in Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, and there's a home care symposium. So Dave, just FYI, home care symposium, it's for operators in the assisted living space. They do a lot. Why am I blanking on that? Anyways, look it up. Home care symposium. Really deep into the RAL space, residential assisted living space. My nurses, right? My nurses, the operators, that's where they're going and getting more education and newer technology and how they can continue to help their people within their homes. But I was thinking, I have been being intentional with my teeth. Because I've been doing a lot more TV speaking, travel around, continue to do more speaking. I actually have an episode coming out here soon on a major platform. I can't really talk about it quite yet, but it is in the production process and the editing right now. So I was like, hey, I want to correct and align my teeth because I'm going to be speaking and doing more stuff, and I want to work on it. And I have been using my policies to finance for my Invisalign treatment. And I've been doing Invisalign now for about a year and a half. It was March of last year when I started. And I would have been done with my treatment, but I had to I wanted to go a little bit longer because there's just some other minor corrections that I wanted to make. So luckily my mouth wasn't so jacked up that I had to be on it for like 5 years. But now I'm just kind of doing something just to correct a little bit that I want within it, because hey, ask if you want something done, ask for it to be done. Okay. So that's what I did. And I'm sitting here and I have my bill printed out. I actually made them print this out because I'm like, hey, I want to do some content on this. But you can see here on my bill how much I have to pay for my Invisalign. It was $6,800. That's what it cost me. $6,800. And then what I also asked too is I asked, well, hey, what if I wanted to split this up into payments? Would y'all allow me to split this up into payments? And if I do, would y'all charge me interest? And they said, yeah, you could totally split up into payments. And no, we wouldn't charge you any interest. I'm like, perfect. Instead of just spending all the money in one go, I'll just make payments and I'm not being charged interest on it. Let's just do it this way so I can maintain control over my capital instead of just in one shot letting it go. Now my ADD is going off and I got to tell you all this. I was having a conversation yesterday with somebody. And his brother, so this gentleman, he's been implementing infinite banking for a few years now. He's got 2 policies and he's been talking about IBC with his family. And obviously it's the whole quote, it's hard to be a prophet in your own town. Sometimes they don't take you seriously. But his brother actually just bought Nelson's book, Becoming Your Own Banker. But literally the day before he bought the book, he is building a house with his wife, the brother, and he paid for the house just straight up in cash and just took all the money and paid it in cash from their checking account. And the brother, him, I think you're following me, the guy on the phone with me yesterday, he goes, I just don't understand. They could have totally taken that money, did a dump it into the policy and then taken it out to go pay the contractors, start building the house, because now all that money is no longer earning interest for them. They lost the opportunity cost of that money now. Because here's the thing, right? And this is the same thing. This is how and where I'm using my policies to finance for my Invisalign. If I just took that money, just like the brother here, if I would have taken this money and just paid cash, taken it from my checking account and handed it over to my dentist, or in this example, the contractors, okay, I got my Invisalign, right? I got the product, but I no longer have my money. I need to go out there, work, earn my money somehow to get this money back inside of my pocket, earning me interest again. And obviously, another way they could have done it is they could have gone down to the bank and asked to borrow the money. I could have maybe borrowed the money here. I could have maybe got on a financing plan with my dentist's office. But instead, what I'm doing is I'm floating my capital through my whole life policies, through what I like to call my private bank, the Bank of Hannah Kesler. And the reason I do that, and the reason that I float the money through there first, one of the reasons, is because when that money now hits my policy, I'm getting a contractual guaranteed interest inside of this policy. A guaranteed interest is what I'm earning. And depending on the insurance company of where your policy is held, that guaranteed interest can be anywhere from 2% up to 3.75%, okay? Depending on the insurance company. Now, I'm talking specifically mutually owned insurance companies, but we can go down that rabbit hole at another time. But in my policies, I'm getting that guaranteed interest. No ifs, ands, or buts. This insurance company has to pay me that guaranteed interest. And when I'm using my policy to buy my Invisalign, I'm not just withdrawing the money from my policy, okay? I'm taking a policy loan. And the word loan scares some of y'all because you think a loan, you've had bad experiences maybe with loans, and there's some PTSD there, let's call it. But a loan to the insurance company is a little different than loans to commercial banks. And here's what I mean. When I call into the insurance company and I say, hey, I want to take out $6,800 and I want to use this money, right? I want to take out my $6,800. The question that the insurance company will ask me is, okay, do you want it either directly deposited to the bank account that we have on file, or do you want a paper check sent to you in the mail? And most of the time, all the time, I'm doing direct deposits that I have set up with them. And when I'm taking out a loan, what's happening is I'm not touching my physical actual money. I'm not touching my money. Okay, that's a big misconception. Dave Ramsey, why would I pay interest to use my money? No, because you're not using your money. You're using the insurance company's money. Remember, this is a loan. You're not withdrawing the money. So what that means is I'm putting my policy up for collateral. How I think about it, my death benefit, I'm putting up for collateral, and I'm taking a loan from the general funds of the insurance company. And here, let me give you all a diagram, because Nelson actually has a diagram within his book. I want to say it's on page like 26 right here. Okay. Now what's happening? Okay, so do you see how the insurance company collects money in? They collect premiums in, and then what they'll do is they will loan out from their money pool. They have a money pool here, and they can loan out that money to their policy owners. Me, I'm a policy owner. This is a mutually owned company. I own this policy and this policy contract. I guess you say the same thing with stock held companies, but anywho's. But do you see what's happening? So premiums go in, my premium deposits go in, and then what I can do is I can take out that cash value and go use it. And the reason that the insurance companies are never asking me what I'm using my money for, when I'm going to pay back that loan, how I'm going to pay it back, they're not asking me those questions. It's literally just, how much do you want, or do you want the max that's available? And do you want it directly deposited, or do you want a paper check sent to you? That's it. That's all that they're asking me. Because in your policy contract, it states that you, the policy owner, you hold first rights to that cash value that's inside of there. And that's why they can never deny you access to that policy loan. It states contractually you have first rights and first borrowing power. So when I'm taking this money out, I'm using their $6,800. And that's how and why my money still remains inside of my policy to grow and compound as if it was never even touched. So I'm able to spend the money because I'm spending their money, and I'm continuing to earn interest and dividends on my dollars that are inside of my policy. Uninterrupted compounding interest. That's all that it is. And I don't know, like I was thinking about it this morning. I'm like, it's so stupid simple, y'all. It's like this stuff is so simple. And I think as human nature, we just love to overcomplicate shit. And we're like, okay, it's got to be more complex than this. There's got to be some catch to it. What is the catch here? And it's just like, it's simple, okay? Because this is not the stock market. This is not funds or syndications. You know, it really is that direct forward of, hey, it's a life insurance contract. At the end of the day, it's a whole life policy. And at the end of the day, when you pay your premiums, that insurance company is guaranteeing you a death benefit to pay to your family at the time of your passing. Tax-free death benefit, might I add. And all we're doing that's different in the internal design of the policy is to have cash value made available to you immediately. And my definition of immediately is within 30 days that you have access to the cash value. So that's all we're doing different, okay? It really is that stupid simple, my friends. So what I do is I will make my purchase if I can all the time. I love to put purchases on credit cards. I fly a lot, okay? I use a lot of my flying miles. I want to get some money backs on hotels that I'm purchasing, which, by the way, I just had to book so much travel. Not so much, you know, yeah. I'm going to London for 3 weeks. That's coming down the road. Super excited about that. Anyways, I'll catch you up later. Or you can go and visit my YouTube channel, my personal channel, just Hannah Kesler. I post vlogs out there, monthly vlogs, by the way. But I was booking my travel and I was like, damn, it is getting expensive. I don't remember it being this expensive last year. And maybe that's just me being a little delulu, but like, I was like, damn, it is getting super expensive. But I will book everything on a credit card. And even with my purchases, just went to Publix yesterday. I made that purchase on a credit card. And my biggest thing, actually, I was thinking about this, something I want to bring up with y'all. Ask if there is credit card charges, like the percentage charges, you know, like what I'm saying, like when you walk in maybe to some restaurants or your dentist's office, your doctor's office, and they're like, hey, if you use a credit card, there's going to be like a 3% charge. I avoid those fees and those charges. I think I get that honestly from my father, because he's like, hey, even though there's a 3% charge and maybe it's only going to cost me $30, that $30 could have bought me something else. So here, I'm going to pay it in cash. I'm going to write you a check instead. Okay. So see if there's any charges on it. And if there is, I pivot and I will write a check to somebody or pay it in another manner, because if I can save myself on fees, that's what I want to do. Even if you may be thinking to yourself like, well, Hannah, $30 ain't that much. It starts to climb up day after day. You know where my ADD is going right now? I have somebody who's local to me and I'm trying to help them with their financial life. And I walk into their office and he is making good money, but he's not keeping the money that he's making because he's got all this debt and this overhead that he has, but he's a very successful business owner. Yet I walk in and he's griping about his money and I see a stupid Starbucks cup sitting right there on his desk. And I'm like, I should have made it like a snarky little comment. Not snarky, but just like, bro, you're bitching to me about your financial life, yet you're sitting here going to Starbucks every single damn day. It's up to you. It's your choices. I mean, no one's going to care about your money more than you do in your financial life. But I'm just saying, I kind of see some red flags here, maybe why you're finding yourself in this pickle, but I digress. So what I'm doing is that since there's no charges on this Invisalign treatment to use my credit card, I've been making those payments on the credit card so then I can get the flying miles and all of that. And then what I do is I will take loans from my policy to then go pay off the credit card statement. And let me give you a visual. Okay. Here is how the money floats through the system. All right. Money has to be stored somewhere. Money has to be stored somewhere. Where are you currently storing your money at? Life Audit? Are you living or are you just existing? When's the last time that you really got down into your financial numbers and exactly where your money is going and where your money is being stored? Pro tip, first Wednesday of the month, I have it blocked out in my calendar from 9 to noon. You cannot get a hold of me on Wednesdays from 9 to noon, the first Wednesday of the month. And also Wednesdays, I do have it blocked off because that's recording days in Hannah's world. But now my ADD is going off in another direction. Hey, you block out time in your calendar. You control your calendar. Other people do not control your calendar. Just putting it out there. It's okay to say
No!
All right. Anyways, so I have it blocked off from 9 to noon in my calendar to review my financials. I look at my personal side and then I also look at the business side. I really get deep into where did my money come in from? Were all the sources of the dollars coming in? Where did they come in from? How much? And then what went out the door? What went out the door, how much went out the door to those specific categories, and then you'll get in tuned with where your cash is actually going to. Because how can you be disciplined with your money if you don't know where the money is coming in from and where it's going out the door to? Doesn't matter how much you make, it only matters how much you keep. So I get very in depth and in detail with what's going on with my dollars at the start of every month to see what happened last month. So then I know in my mindset, I can make some pivots and shifts if I need to, especially with running a business and marketing dollars. You know, I don't want to be throwing dollars at something in the marketing world that just ain't working. You see what I'm saying? But after I assess the money that comes in, I am now looking at what do I have next? Being intentional. Are there large expenses coming up? I just got in the mail my license plate. All right. I got to get a new license plate, right? My tag's expiring soon. So, okay, Hannah, let's prep for this expense that we got to go and pay. I know property taxes are going to come up sometime here soon in October. How much did I pay last year? Are we prepping and making sure I got the money to go and pay it now? So I'm prepping and I'm looking into the future of large expenses that are coming up. And then I look at my investments and I see, hey, is there places of where I could go take this money and go put it to work? So I look at that. And if there is an opportunity, then I will go make that investment, go put my little green men to work for me. And if not, if I have no use for the dollars, I will take the money and I will go pay back my policy loans. I'll go pay back policy loans, or I'll pay more into the paid up additions rider, the dump-ins, if you will. That's our street language for extra paid up additions. It just means dump-ins, right? One-time dump-ins that I'm putting inside of the policy, continuing to capitalize on it further and further. So when I'm putting the money back in, that money is now made available to me again, that I could dip inside my policy and take it right back out again if I choose to. Here's another pro tip though. I give myself 60 days. If there's an expense coming up that I know about or an investment opportunity that I want to make within 60 days, I won't pay back my policy loans. I will just keep that money held within my checking account for right now until it's ready to go and be deployed. Because at that point, if you're just paying it back and then turning it right back around and taking it out, especially just loan repayments. I'm not talking about extra PUA premiums, just specifically loan repayments. Now you're just kind of playing mental gymnastics with the insurance company. Okay. So I give myself 60 days. If I have no use for the money within within 60 days, then I'll go and pay back those policy loans. So here's what I did. And I wonder if, do I have drawing capability on here? I can highlight, underline. Here, we can do text box. Okay. So here's what I did. I have been putting money inside of my policy. Let me come back over here. Can you guys see me? Beautiful. So I've been putting money inside of my policy. All right, let's just use the first policy that I ever started. The first one I started when I was 18 was $400 a month. So I've been putting in $400 a month since I was 18 years old, and I've been building up cash reserves inside of my policy. $400 a month I've been putting in. It's been building up cash value. And now I'm ready to go make my transaction to purchase my Invisalign. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the cash value from my policy in the form of a loan. So I'm going to be using the insurance company's $6,800. Then what I do is I'm going to take that money and now I'm going to go and pay off my credit card with it. Because remember, on the forefront, I told y'all I've been putting these payments on my credit card. And so now that money comes out, it hits my bank account. Then I go from bank account to directly paying off this credit card now. So now the credit card is paid off. And what I'm going to do is now I'm just going to redirect those payments that I was sending to the credit card people, or essentially, you know, what that balance is. What is my carrying balance month after month? Instead of now paying it to them, now I'm able to pay it back to myself. Let's just say it was $150 a month or something. I don't know. And now that money's coming back to me. I no longer have to pay them. And then I just send that money directly back inside of my policy to now replenish the cash value that's inside of there. So it's just a big circle. It's just adding the one additional step of where does the money hit first, flow through first. Now I'm going to take it out, go pay for my expense, pay for the product, the service, and then now flow that money back through. Really how I'm doing this, because I don't allow credit card interest to carry on. Okay. I don't, any fees, any interest I'm paid, I'd rather the interest be paid to myself rather paying it to somebody else. So really what I did here is I went to bankrate.com, great loan calculator on there, bankrate.com. And I plugged it in and I said, okay, if this charge is for $6,800 and let's say that I want to pay myself back 10% in interest, what does my monthly payment have to be, loan calculator, to pay myself back over the next 12 months? Okay. Because this is the freedom of you being your own banker. You can decide how often you want to pay yourself back. What's the interest rate that you want to charge yourself? You are in full control here. This is the control. So I go back to, hey, when y'all start to hear about loans, you start to get scared or scared. You start to get scared and you're like, oh my goodness, this is a debt. This is an expense. This is a payment that I have to pay. And yeah, I kind of want y'all to be in that mindset of be an honest banker, pay yourself back with interest. Treat your money just how you treat the bank's money, right? It's all about mindset. But do I have to pay it back? No, you don't got to pay it back. Do you even have to pay yourself back with interest? No, you don't even have to pay yourself back with interest. You should be an honest banker, because if you don't do it, you're just saying that the banker's money is more valuable than your money, and that's just not the truth. But if you don't ever pay back the policy loan, number one, you're still going to get charged that loan interest. Okay. So at minimum, make sure you are paying your loan interest out of pocket each and every year. But then number two, what will happen at the end of it all? It'll just get subtracted from your death benefit. The death benefit that's going to get passed on to your family. Now, before I kind of get into, because I really want to talk about this book I've been reading too, but I brought up my loan calculator. Let me share my screen here. Stop screen share screen, loan calculator. Boom. And then let's add it to screen. Okay, beautiful. Hey, this is the bankrate.com loan calculator. All right, so when you see this page, you know you're on the right page. But here's what I did. $6,800 was my loan amount. And I wanted to pay this back. Oh, that's on years. Hold on. Months? 12. So $6,800, 12 months is when I want to pay it back. And I'm going to charge myself a 10% interest rate. Now, I'm aggressive on the interest rate that I charge myself, because the more aggressive I am on the interest, it just means more money that's going to come back to me anyways. And then I press this calculate button. When it calculates for me, it tells me exactly that payment. What is that payment that I should be paying back to myself inside my policy each and every month? So it's saying $597.83. Okay. Total principal, $6,800. Interest, total cost of the loan. So it's really broken down like that for me. BTW, if you're a business owner, you can track this interest, and interest can be counted as some deductions for your business. But I'm not a CPA or a tax advisor. Go talk to somebody. So you can get pretty savvy with this stuff. But you may be thinking to yourself, well, Hannah, almost $600 a month. That is, I can't do that. Well, okay, take it out over 24 months. This is your banking system. You're in control here. Oh, over 2 years, 24 months. Now my payment's $313 a month. Beautiful. Love it, love it, love it. But my interest paid did go up, right? Because I'm extending out the loan. I'm now thinking about, do y'all remember when I started to do those episodes on the, it was the mortgages. Remember when Trump was going to come out with these long-term like mortgages for people? And it's like, people see the payment, they see their loan payment here. Yes, it's lower, but we're neglecting the interest cost that's being charged to us. Because, quoting Nelson Nash in his book, it is not the rate of interest that is killing you. It's the volume of the interest that you're sending out the door to other people. That's your leaky bucket. And how can I recapture the interest cost that I'm spending out already? So this is loan calculator. I love it. This is the one that I use when I'm doing my own self-banking. I come here to bankrate.com here. And what I'll do, let me put this in the chat box for y'all, the URL, so you have it too. Beautiful. Okay. But life audit. Am I just living or am I just existing? You know, I listened on my flights here this past week to a book called Die with Zero. I don't know the author at the top of my head right now. Do I have my cell phone? Here it is. Die with Zero. I was listening to it on Audible. Love Audible, by the way. I'm a big podcast listener. And so like Audible is just like a podcast in my ears, just books. Here, library, Die with Zero. Bill Perkins. Bill Perkins is his name. I don't know too much about Bill Perkins, but I've heard a lot of my colleagues talk about this book, Die with Zero, okay? And it's an interesting perspective. He was talking about how folks will go through life and accumulate. They won't take the vacation time. They won't leave their miserable job because they want the security there. And I get it. At some point, you do need to be responsible. You got to make sure you are keeping a roof over your head. And especially if you have children, I know it makes it even harder sometimes to want to be a little bit more selfish. I get that, right? But he was talking about how these people will go through life, accumulate all of this money, and then not even be able to spend it. A lot of us talk about saving for retirement and saving for the future, which is important. You should have some capital accumulated somewhere. But you go through life and then you wake up and you're just like, okay, well, now that I'm retired, I have the time now, I have the money now to do this. But now in the future, maybe you have health issues. You can't go do the trip that you wanted to go do with your girlfriends when y'all were talking about it when you were 40 years old. See, because the goal is not to die with millions of dollars inside of your bank account. You can't be buried with your money. And think about that a lot. I can't be buried with my money. My money is just a resource. It's just a tool. It's a tool that allows me to have choices, have freedom, especially in our capitalist society, right? But a lot of us are going out there and just building and accumulating all of these dollars and not taking even the time off from work to go live our life. I don't know, like that's my biggest pet peeve just with our society here in America is just the toxic work mentality that we have and all of these people who just don't even use their vacation times. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, Hannah, I'm not using my vacation time because I just don't even have the money to go and travel to this new place right now. But hey, use your PTO, use that paid time off. Maybe you're not traveling. Maybe you don't want to do like a staycation, but I'll tell you this, a tent don't cost that much. And it's really nice to get grounded again back to earth and go out camping. Camping doesn't cost that much. There's things that you could actually be doing right now and not just waiting for in the future to go and do the things. I don't know. I don't want people to just accumulate, and then never use their resources that they have. So there's like that one side of the spectrum, but then you got this other side of the spectrum of people who even outlive their money, right? And so it's like, how do we find this perfect balance? Okay. Outliving your money sucks. Okay. I've heard stories of people living in assisted living care who had to move out and go to a family member's house because it was just too costly and they couldn't keep up with the costs for the assisted living care and being within that facility. And I get that. That sucks. Then now you're going to your family members and now your family members have to take care of you. So there's that one side of the spectrum. And there's the other side where people think they're going to get buried with their money. And it's like, how do we create this perfect lifestyle? And it's never going to be perfect. Cueing my mentor, perfection is the enemy to success. But that's why I don't want to wait until I am into my 60s, 70s, 80s to start living my life. I want to start living it now. And that's why I'm building this foundation of my policies, something that is going to hedge myself against inflation, not going to go up and down based on market performance, government intervention, et cetera, et cetera. I'm building the foundation of getting on the right side of compound interest, using this vehicle to get myself off of trading my time for my money, having my money actually work for me instead. So then I'm living my life as I continue to climb and excel and just live life, get older, gain more wisdom, you see? So it's all about the cash flow too, cash accumulation, like I always say, is important, but it's all about the cash flow and what is the cash flow coming in and how can you move the cash flow that you're making instead of working all of these years for it to now having your dollars actually work for you. And, and this is where like even the protection of like long-term care is important. Okay, there's things that you could really set yourself up and set in place and not wait until you are in that moment of time and like, now I have this going on and I don't know how I'm going to fund or even care for myself in those later years. Another quote we say all the time over here on the channel: a failure to plan is a plan to fail. Start looking into the future, think long range, and sit down with yourself and quiet your mind once in a while. I take every Sunday. Every Sunday, I will just sit and reflect and see where I'm going with this whole life journey, because I don't want to be rushing around. I don't want to wake up and then have every day just go like this because I'm doing the same damn constant thing over and over again. I want to be present. To go back to the keynote session that I was at, I want to be present. I want to be here. I want to be in the moment with my people, enjoying the memories that money can't buy, right? Money can't buy memories. Money can't buy back time. And so how can I shift myself into that perspective of living a life that I want and not just waiting for the time to pass? That's why mama says, make good choices, because the choices you make today are going to affect your future. So what are you waiting on? Why are you waiting on the sidelines to start your journey? Why are you waiting on the sidelines to take that vacation? Even if you don't go anywhere, you need to take your vacations and really just feeling it out, because your life may be different than my life. I have different goals in my life than what you do. But at the end of the day, you should be in control and not just coasting or floating by and just existing. You should truly be intentional with every aspect of your life. And my last piece of feedback, I'll say, romanticize your life too. Like there will be some days where I'm like, oof, I'm tired. I don't got the energy in me today. But maybe I pick out my favorite mug. This is my New Zealand mug. She's cute with a little kiwi bird on it. Maybe I pick out my favorite mug and then I go sit outside. Or maybe today I go to a nice little coffee shop instead of just being and working in my home office. Get outside the house. Just go do something different than just the everyday norm that y'all are doing. I want y'all to live your life and not just continue to exist in it. All right. Before I head out on y'all, I'm seeing my comments come in. Oh my God. Dexter, go back to our helicopter comment. Dexter goes, hey, helicopters are safer than airplanes right before impact. The blades are used like an umbrella, better survival. Both scary though. I ain't taking chances, my friend. He also says, I thought the 50-year mortgages was a great for options, help folks become homeowners. However, make 30 or 40-year payments, stay disciplined. If times get rough, have options to make 59-year payments. Hey, but at the end of the day, this is why I love being my own banker, because I'm in control of everything over here, right? If something happens, I can't pay back my policy loan for a month, it's okay. I'm in debt to myself rather than somebody else. And even just with that conversation I was having with that gentleman yesterday, he goes, even if people just look at their policies like it is an emergency fund, there's no better place to have that emergency fund than inside the policy. Because yesterday, see, I didn't even know this because I don't move within the markets right now. I'm doing some other stuff, but I don't move within the markets with my money. And so he goes, hey, just yesterday, the stock market took a big old tank. I didn't know that. Didn't feel it whatsoever. But he goes, even if you have to use that money, it's better for it to come from the policy instead of storing the capital inside of like your brokerage account and having to withdraw from those accounts, pay the tax on it, and use that money for when the unseen time happens. A failure to plan is a plan to fail. I want y'all to start really thinking into the future. Give yourself some goals. All right. My web team is wanting me to give them some goals. And I'm like, you know what? You guys want me to give you guys some goals? I got some other goals I want to do some updates on too. So that's what I'm focused on this week as we progress through this experience of life together. But next week, I'm thinking I really want to do some case studies with y'all. I have some good case studies of real money multiplier clients and how they're utilizing their policies for debt payoff right now. As I know a lot of us are feeling it, especially with the high prices and inflation and just what's going on within our world and how it's affecting our money and our living situation. But just know that there is hope and that you can do it if you actually want to do it. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. You're in control of this. You're in control of your own life. So when are you going to start taking action instead of just coasting and existing and floating on by? But that's all I have today. I am grateful for all of y'all. I will be back next week, 9 a.m. I'll be at the lake next week. Ooh, hanging out with family time. It'll be so fun. My best girlfriend is coming with me and her husband. And we're going to go. I'm leaving it up to Zach. Normally, Zach is the one that goes and gets all the fireworks, my younger brother. You know, it's funny. My father would never allow us as kids to buy fireworks because he's like, guys, I'm not going to allow y'all to go get fireworks. How about you just hand me your money and I'm going to set it on fire? It's the same thing. I'm like, Dad, you're ruining all the fun. Like, I get where you're coming from, but like, bro, piss off. So Zach's in charge of fireworks, and then I'm in charge of the cooking. That's what I do over there. I'll do some cooking. I'll go to the grocery store, and it'll be a good time. I need to start putting together the menu. All right. Thank you for being on this morning. I will see y'all next week, next Thursday. And as always, the Money Multiplier podcast comes out on YouTube every Tuesday, and you can stream it from any of your podcasting streaming platforms as well. But do well, be good, my friends, and I'm going to see you next week. Mwah. Bye, everyone. Have a good day.